In a past episode of the podcast, Kidder and I talked about Kickstarters and Kickstarter scams and the few times that I've had where Kickstarter didn't fulfill. And truthfully, I used to be much more into Kickstarter. I used to back fairly heavily. I started off slow, but then I really got into it and I backed a lot of projects. And for the most part, I've had great success. But as my collection has grown and ballooned, I find myself diminishing the number of Kickstarters I'm involved in. And even the number of companies. I don't tend to go for Kickstarters anymore unless it's a company that I know and I trust and that I've dealt with before. And so that's what I try to watch for. Well, one of the companies that I've had great success with, and they make beautiful products. It's almost hard to resist, but it's a company called Greebo Games. And I want to take some time to talk about their newest Kickstarter. So join me as we talk a little bit about Dwarvageddoom, or Dwarvageddoom. It's Chaos Dwarves. Board games, role-playing games, assembling and painting models and miniatures. These are my hobbies. I'm Howard Blues, one half of the popular podcast Beer, Blues, and BS. And now join me as I rebuild my cave of wonders. Hello, everybody. Howard Blues here. Welcome back to Howard's Cave of Wonder. I'm not trying to make this channel just about Kickstarters, but it just so happens that kind of in back-to-back weeks, two companies that I trust have launched Kickstarters, and while one is Monster Apocalypse, and I'm super stoked at that, and it's doing well, and there's not a lot of time left, and there's some really cool things in there, so if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Today I want to talk about the one that launched just today. I'm filming this on the 9th of November, which is important, and I'm trying to do this fast. And the reason is, this is an extremely short Kickstarter. It launched today. It's done in a week. That's right. It's 1 week that this Kickstarter is running. So I'm trying to get the news out fast, which is tough. It means this is probably going to be a late night as I try to pull this together because I didn't have all the details. So you really couldn't make the video until, anyway, enough of the behind the scenes, how the sausage is made. This Kickstarter is by a company called Greebo Games, and they are out of Italy. And their specialty are teams for fantasy football. And no, I don't mean the fantasy football where you're drafting players from NFL teams and building a super team and competing each week to see who does the best. No, we're talking about football played by dwarves and elves and goblins and orcs and other fantasy races and tropes. Now, and this would be used in games like Blood Bowl, or Myth and Goal was just a Kickstarter for a similar one. I don't know what their rules are and armies, but Blood Bowl is the premier fantasy football game. It's the one that I think anybody who plays this knows. And so it's a game that has not always been well supported by its parent company. Parent company is not a great word. By the company who created it. That would be Games Workshop. And so there have been droughts in there. And so other companies have stepped up to create teams. And Greebo Games is one of those. So they produce fantasy football teams. I don't play Blood Bowl, nor do I really have a desire to play Blood Bowl. I don't know. I kind of have my miniature sports game of choice, which is Dreadball, which I love. And I've seen Blood Bowl played. I don't have a desire. But Greebo won me over, and the series of miniatures that they did first that won me over was called the Cutimals. And what the Cutimals were these kind of cartoonish, chibi-esque style figures. And the first Kickstarter that I did with them was Cutimals, where there was a penguin team, a walrus team, and a bear team. And I know these aren't going to show up super well because they're metal and shiny. If I do that, you can kind of get it. Don't worry. As soon as I'm done recording this, I'm going to take some photos, put those up there. I'll also put in some images from that Kickstarter that shows off the figures. But yeah, cute little bears and such. And that's what these ones are. This is from the Bears team. So there's the big bear. Again, I don't know how well that's going to show up. But they were these really cute figures. And they were just the kind of thing that they appealed to me on a painter's sense. I just want to paint them. I think I'm going to have fun painting them. They are cute and they're fun. And yeah, am I ever going to play with them? Probably not. But one of the long-term projects I've had, and that's kind of why the Cutimals apply, because they were all, Arctic creatures, is I promised my wife for a long time that I would build her a Christmas fantasy village, the kind like that you can go out and you can buy, and like here's a building with lights and you put it up and little figures that come with it. I've collected the Reaper miniatures Christmas figures, and I figured, these could be some interesting, cute things to put in there. So did that. But yeah, the ones, they always come with a variety of different players and other different cute things. Like this is a cheerleader. And as I said, they're metal, so they're not going to show up. So again, Future Howard's putting the pictures in. So that's what I fell in love with. I backed Cutimals, got all three teams because they're cute. I have since backed, they did a Necromolds, which was kind of the same thing, but undead and mummy focused. But again, the same cutesy animals. So I have those. And then they just recently did a jungle one, which had gorillas, which if you watched our Monster Apocalypse video, monkeys are kind of a weakness. And so I got those. So I've been picking up those, thinking they're cute, they're fun. I'll do something with them, but if anything, I'm just going to enjoy painting them because they're cute, they're fun. And sometimes you just need miniatures to paint that are cute and fun. And so that's kind of where I was. And then it was kind of one of those things. Greebo would kind of alternate back and forth. Cutimal, Kickstarter, and then one of their fantasy, kind of the realism Kickstarters. And originally, I really haven't had much of a desire because, again, I don't play fantasy football. But they did one, I want to say it was called Vicious Wildfire. Yeah. If not, Future Howard, I'm creating more work for you. That's what I get for trying to do this in a night. And this was Savage Orcs. And I'm not going to lie. Even though I hadn't planned on it, I checked it out. And I liked the look of it. And the figures were, again, these amazing, super detailed pieces, like this orc. I think he's a mage. Where's the apothecary? Again, Future Howard. Anyway, it is a cool figure, very detailed. And I fell in love with these things. And I looked at it and I said, you know what? This guy may not ever see the pitch. He might not ever play Blood Bowl. But at the same time, he's cool enough that he could show up in D&D. He could show up in Kings of War. He could show up in a lot of other places. And to me, that makes him cool. I have some of his brothers. Unfortunately, not assembled because I haven't had the time to work on these. But like this big troll guy who has actually my favorite kind of nose style on here. Someday I'll talk about trolls and troll art and some of that. But I mean, and again, I know you can't see all the details, but this thing is just cool. And even without the arms, it just looks like a big bad monster. Now, because they're fantasy football, a lot of their hands are either open or closed. And a part of me looks at it and goes, I can convert that. And so if I want, I can make these guys into, again, fighters for an army, for King's War, Vanguard, D&D. I have that option. I don't have to use them as football ones. And I like that option. So I got in on these guys, and I went in pretty heavy on them just because, again, they're just super cool, super characterful. I mean, even this guy, he's lost a tusk, which I might be able to find in the packaging for him. But if not, I mean, that's kind of a cool-ish feature. And if I really want the tusk, I'll sculpt it back on. But for the most part, you know, it's a cool figure. Now, Greebo went through a couple of different phases, at least in their materials. So originally with their Kickstarters, it was all metal minis. Then they went to these resin minis, like these orcs. But in recently, they've introduced what they call green blood, which is a new resin product they're using. And the first time that I backed in for something like that was their fantasy dwarves. And these guys are cool. Oh, they're just, the amount of detail that Greebo puts into these things is just, one, phenomenal, but two, the character that they put into these figures are just great. I mean, you have this guy with his hands up and his crazy haircut, and you know, he looks like he's ready to fight. You know, you have another one who's, yeah, he's got a mohawk and looks like he's poised for action with a beautiful beard. Even this guy, and again, I don't have the photos up, with his crooked finger going, "Come here, bring it on." And they also did within that same team females, so female dwarves on the team. So very cool, and just like level of detail that they go to, even though you're never going to see it. They actually have the cleats, and again, hard to see. They actually have the cleats on the bottom of these. So I backed the dwarves for, again, same thing. Will they ever see it, the pitch? Probably not. But could be cool for other projects and just fun to paint with all the detail. So let's look at the current Kickstarter that they have up. Here we go. As you can see, the name on this is crazy. Dwarvageddoom. Dwarvageddoom. Let's go with the other part. The real Chaos Dwarves for fantasy football. There's two types of Chaos Dwarves: those who have tea and biscuits with their dollies, and these. So, and I will say, when I was looking at this, there was one model that made my weakness. So, unfortunately, by the time this comes out, unless I'm really quick on the draw, unfortunately, this deal will be over. This was their they usually do a bonus figure in the first 24 hours. This time it's This guy draws, which is this kind of cool centaur chaos dwarf figure that just looks fantastic. Um, and yes, they're promising delivery by Christmas. One of the things that Greebo does is, as this Kickstarter is starting, they've already started manufacturing these. They make them in their own factory and studio, so they start it right away. So let's get past these and let's get to some of the models. So here we have just some of the looks of the models and some of the paintings done on them. And you can see here's the figure that sucked me in. It's a Minotaur. Falls in my four weaknesses is Minotaurs. So that's what hooked me, because originally when I saw this, I'm like, Chaos Dwarves? I don't need Chaos Dwarves. So an example of the Chaos Dwarf. They also have in here, they have their female Amazon team as well. So yeah, here we go on the pitch. So there's our big beefy Minotaur. He looks fantastic. And as I said, I get that he's geared to be a football player, but I think I could put a weapon on him and make him into something cool. There's one of those centaur guys. They have hobgoblins, chaos dwarfs. I mean, these guys are just full of fun. So some of the renders, the bull centaur. So we scroll down. Here's the other one. So again, just beautiful sculpts. And then, of course, our big boy. Oh, look at him. Oh, that's just fantastic. Just, and a great paint job too, but just fantastic. So excited. So originally when this came out, and I have backed this, but this was like the figure. This was the thing I was going to get until I saw stuff later, which we'll get to. So the rest of these, the blockers, I'm going to kind of go through fairly quick. I do love this flaming skull hat. That's just great. So these guys are just overly ornate, overly amazing. I mean, this guy has a battle axe and maces, heads of maces braided into his beard. It's crazy. And I that's the thing that I think I kind of fell in love as I looked at this, is it's like, oh my gosh, these things are crazy. And then we have the hobgoblins, and they look all right. Nothing super special, but not bad. Although I do like this big guy. He looks good. So kind of go through the hobgoblins real fast and get down to some of the things. Here's their section on green blood. And one of their big kind of things is you can see the difference in casting. This can all be one piece, whereas in metal, it was a lot of little pieces. And even then, what they can cast in green blood versus even their resin. So cool things. All right, let's look at the pledge levels. So you can pledge for the team. Comes with 6 blockers, 2 bull centaurs, 4 hobgoblins, the Dwarf, which is the Minotaur, and 4 hobgoblins. And then some of these stretch goals that have been unlocked, and we'll see those. So you can get the team. You can see what's kind of comes in there. And then they have bear heads. So if you didn't like those crazy chaos dwarf hats, there's a team where they don't wear those. Why would you not? There's the big bundle, which comes with just like everything, and we'll see some more of that stuff as we get down. Some of just these other smaller ones. All of the stretch goals, which have already unlocked. Okay, here we get into some of the fun things. So again, they do some fun character things. So here's the referee, which is just a great figure holding all the cards, and then the whistle is in the skull's mouth. So that's great. Here's the coach. And again, just looks amazing sitting on this kind of crazy skull throne, the whip. He's smoking a cigar, but then if you notice, he's got 2 cigars in his hands. I mean, again, just character is the thing. Here's our cheerleader, who is also, I will say, smoking a cigar. So, quite the cheerleader. And then I love this one. So this is the bull mascot, and it's basically a chaos dwarf in kind of this centaur mascot costume. It brings a smile to my face. It's just so ridiculous that I love it. There are the balls, which meh. There are markers for in the game, team marker, reroll marker. And then down here they have the add-ons, which has things like the apothecary, which I just love because not only does he have this crazy smile, not only is he holding what looks to be an ear, but he's got his coat open, and I mean, there's a foot in there. There's some other pieces. The guy just looks crazy. He's got syringes on his belt. He's even got this kind of twisted take on the the medical seal that you always see. So just beautiful touches. Here's the mage, and again, just looks like a crazy cool figure. I like this one. This is the bribe, and again, even if he never sees the pitch, I mean, he just looks like a evil, greedy dwarf, and that's awesome. He's got the coin vendor thing there. He's got a mimic for a chest kind of piece here. I mean, it's just fun. It's just fun. They have some of these more vicious looking hobgoblins. So those are kind of cool. And those are armed with weapons. So those, again, could easily be in the D&D. This guy's also holding a bomb. So that's a thing. So that's Gunko. There's the Jervis. He's the free model if you get in the first 24 hours. Then they have some that are from the dwarf campaign, which was the Thunder Cougar Falconbeards was the name of that team. But this guy's literally got a cannon on his back that's launching balls. So that's this guy, Goldbane, just another fun leopard one. The Fire Eater. I mean, these guys are they're clearly just having fun. And then here we go. This is some of the other things that just sucked me in. They did a band, including Djinn, which is clearly Gene Simmons from Kiss, with Paul Stanley as this little guy up here. So that's just fun. I mean, how could you not like that? We have Iron Steve, who I haven't quite figured out who his representation is, but just looks fun. And then they have Mr. Kill, who is clearly Lemmy from Motorhead. So just another, again, cool figure. And then this, Never Joey. And this is a drummer who is chained down. He's got little goblins holding his cymbals and such. It is just crazy. It's quite the figure. So some really cool figures, and then there's just some crazy big hats. This guy with the tentacle, this guy with a claw arm. So just some crazy things, and then back to some of the dwarf ones. So this necromancer dwarf, he's kind of cool, or at least I think he's a necromancer. Could just be an undead dwarf. This guy who is holding a pair of bombs, which is just crazy. Hammer Fist, who's got these pneumatic fists. This guy, Rumbo Silverspine, that looks like he has like a chainsaw axe. And then I like this guy, it's got like this big, like kettlebell ball that I doubt you'd ever want to get hit by. And then another guy launching a ball out of a cannon. There's Ergo. So, and then just kind of some of these other mercenary characters and such that they have done in the past, including Gamor here. So, another fun Minotaur. And then some nameplates, some themed bases. And then we get into the Amazons, and I won't spend a lot of time on them. They are cool. Not anything that I'm going to go after. Although I do like this big guy, this Jew is just cool. We'll at least bring it down. But I mean, it is cool armor, this kind of crazy skull Amazon themed armor. It's cool. I will say I don't always feel like it's quite as characterful. It's like what I've seen with the dwarves. But not bad. Not bad. Like that's not a bad figure. That runner. I like the wolf fang. Those look kind of cool. Oh, and then Juma. So look at that thing. Again, even if I never use him in fantasy football, just the idea of him on the pitch and painting him looks fun. And then we get into some of the pledge stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the Kickstarter in a real flash. Again, trying to be somewhat quick in my going through this because as you can see, in 6 days they're done. So next Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, from the time that this comes out, the Kickstarter is done. So if you're interested, that gives you a good look at them. But yeah, Greebo Games, I've been thoroughly happy with them and the figures, and they're one of the companies that I make a habit of always kind of supporting them and in their Kickstarters, and I love their figures. They do a wonderful job with that. I wish this campaign was a little bit longer and such, but it's just cool stuff from them. And the other cool thing is they don't really do exclusives. So, I mean, even if you found a figure that you liked, like this big bear guy, I mean, you can go out to their company page and you can purchase singles and packs of figures. So that's a quick look at Greebo Games' newest Kickstarter. You better believe I'm in for a bit because Minotaurs and that band looks awesome. So I'm in for at least those figures and such. So excited. These are definitely some of the models I'm looking forward to painting the most and as soon as I can. So hoping as I finish getting stuff set up here and organized that eventually I'll have some time to paint. And these guys, I should get to them pretty quick because they're just fun. They're just fun. I still have to decide if I'm going to, again, keep them in their kind of fantasy football state, or should I make them ready for, other games such as I said, Kings of War, D&D. That's a question. As I said, I don't ever see myself getting into Blood Bowl, but you never know. So, um, yeah. So, hey, what did you think of these guys and these figures? What did you see that you liked? And hey, leave a comment. And thanks for joining me on this very quick, hopefully very short episode of Howard's Cave of Wonder. I look forward to seeing you guys next time, and I promise we won't just keep doing Kickstarter videos. That's just a trend. Things have fallen, just came out that I find interesting and then I follow and wanted to share. We'll get into some other stuff. I got some other videos filmed and such. So please do that. Again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you the next time here in the Cave of Wonder. Have a good night, good evening, good day, all of that. I really got to work on the eggs to these videos. Hitter just makes it look easy. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.